there's Swords to Plowshares, when there's creature battles where these creatures are smashing into each other, Mother of Runes is a hugely powerful card.
I'm kind of worried for Alex here, partly because Richard has a proven track record against Alex's in this tournament.
Okay. he definitely is currently 1-0, as far as we know, against opponents named Alex. His opponent named Alex has much less hair, however. So, Richard also has a very colorful hat. Callie was saying, maybe he was wearing that to throw off his opponents, that they think he's playing more colors than just green-white.
So it's sort of like the Moneymaker?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I can't look at the guy. It drives me all googly eyes.
All right, so we are going to see Game 3 here of the last quarterfinal match. You have Alex Gonzalez on the left of your screen, playing Team America, Richard Winter on your right. If you are just joining us, we are here at the Star City Games Legacy Open in St. Louis. We are here in the quarterfinals. I am Brian Kibler, here with Adrian Sullivan. We have watched a lot of Magic today. We have just a few matches left.
Yep, I think it was about, 14 hours ago that we started doing the coverage today.
So it looks like Richard won the first game, Alex won the second game, meaning Richard will be on the play this game. And that sort of goes along with what we had predicted, that the Cyborg games would be in Alex's favor. Yeah. But whether he will also be favored enough to take this out on the draw, we'll have to see.
That's rough. I mean, honestly, coming out of the gates as fast as you do...
No, you cannot get Gaia's Cradle with Verdant Catacombs.
Would that you could. There's a card that'll let you search out a Gaia's Cradle, but it is not called Verdant Catacombs.
It's not a land. If you want to use a land that gets Gaia's Cradle, use Gaia's Cradle.
Right. Well, you've got Knight of the Reliquary or Crop Rotation, but not Verdant Catacombs.
Verdant Catacombs for a Savannah, and then he passes the turn. So that's the sort of play that you often make if you're afraid of your opponent having a Stifle. But these two players do know their opponent's decks card for card.
Wow. That's a Mystic, Sword, Knight of the Reliquary, and 2 lands.
So here is a time when Thoughtseize is not all that you generally want. Thoughtseize is usually particularly good in the control matchups against creature decks because you can make them stop. You can make them stagger on a turn. Here, Richard's 2 copies of Stoneforge Mystic make it so...
What do you take here?
That he has redundant threats on turn 2. It depends on Alex's hand.
I mean, maybe he takes the sword if he has something to defend with, but...
sword? There's not a sword there, is there?
It's the Sword to Plowshares. That's a
Sword
sword.
to Plowshares. I was thinking you meant actual sword. So I see a Snapcaster, a Pernicious Deed, a Jace, and the fact that there's a Wasteland there is particularly scary.
That Wasteland does so much work.
A Wasteland is just so gross.
I think I would take Knight of the Reliquary just because...
That's my inclination.
Yeah.
Stoneforge is... The redundant Stoneforge means that Richard would have to be investing a lot of mana before he's getting much of an effect from the second Stoneforge, whereas Knight can just come down on turn 3, and if Alex doesn't answer it immediately, he can just get Wastelanded into Oblivion.
Yeah.
So Alex is going to take...
Oh, well, he might have a Force of Will in hand, in which case he might want to take the Mystic.
That's possible, though he would still have to have an answer for Knight of the Reliquary when that
then
happens.
All he would potentially need then might be like a removal
He takes Swords to Plowshares. Okay.
He might have a creature that he wants to use on defense.
I could definitely see him having Dark Confidant wanting to protect that.
It's like, leave those revealed for a second so I can write that down. I'm a big fan of writing things down. I recommend everyone do it as long as it doesn't slow your play down too much.
Yep. There was a point at which taking notes was actually illegal. You were not allowed to write down anything in a game, and it was very important to be able to remember everything your opponents have in your hand.
That was a crazy time.
Yeah. Now that it's legal, take advantage of that. It's information is an incredibly valuable commodity in Magic, and when you can get it, take advantage of it.
Stoneforge Mystic for Richard Winter summons up a Batterskull. Alex Gonzalez.
So Batterskull in Richard's hand.
Maybe he has a Tarmogoyf, which can be a temporary wall.
So Richard played his Wasteland rather than playing his Horizon Canopy and taking a point of damage. I'm actually not sure I agree with that. If Alex actually has a Wasteland as well, Alex can Wasteland his Wasteland and be able to protect his own colored sources. I don't know how important Richard's life total is here, particularly given that he just got a Batterskull. So these are the incredibly small decisions that you often have to think about when you're playing Legacy. So, we have a Tarmogoyf, not a Dark Confidant as I had predicted.
And we see that Tarmogoyf is currently a 3/4 instant sorcery land. I see a Jace the Mind Sculptor amongst Alex's cards. Richard draws another land, so he can theoretically wasteland and put a Battle Skull into play this turn. Which seems like a nice line, I think.
Yeah, that wasteland is going to put Alex under a bit of pressure. Oh,
he says go. He can always wait. It's an instant ability.
It's true. He does not have to use his wasteland yet, and there's a wasteland from Alex.
If Alex can get a creature into the yard, Tarmogoyf will be big enough to hold off a Battle Skull.
Yes.
For that matter, if he can get an enchantment into the yard, Tarmogoyf will be big enough to hold off Battle Skull.
If you can get a tribal enchantment planeswalker into the yard, Tarmogoyf will be big enough to hold off something very big.
Something big.
Something real big.
But not something as big as something really, really big.
Yeah, not like a Shivan Worm.
Yeah.
Because that's really big. Or a Polar Kraken. It was big.
Polar
No,
Kraken.
bigger than that. It was big.
That was the text.
That was
flavor
the
text.
Yeah. I have a weird memory for some weird things.
Oh.
So,
and Alex still thinking, I wonder if the judge will say to him at any point, make a decision.
so Alex, he has Pernicious Deed in his hand. Does he have a land?
He does.
So
He has a wasteland in his hand.
I think if I'm Alex, I very likely cast Snapcaster.
Oh, I don't
on
like that.
Thoughtseize.
I don't like that at all.
Huh. So,
Actually, that's not terrible because he can get the Knight of the Reliquary out of there.
Yeah, so that makes his Goyf big enough.
No, it makes his Goyf stay the same size.
No,
the sorcery goes away.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But he can chump block with the Snapcaster and get the Goyf big enough again.
Well, no, he's hitting a creature.
But I mean,
he can Thoughtseize a creature.
Oh yeah. So that's not going to do it. So now the Goyf is a little bit too small.
Yeah, that's. I wonder if he. Okay, so he takes the knight. This is sort of a weird sequence of plays from Alex Gonzalez. I think that if he was going to let Richard keep the Knight of the Reliquary, and take the Swords to Plowshares, that he would have wanted to try and keep the Goyf big enough, or try and get the Goyf big enough to actually hold off that Battle Skull. And now it's much harder to get a sorcery into the discard pile than it is any other creature, a card type in this matchup, I think. And that Scavenging Ooze promises to make Tarmogoyf really never be able to
is
fight.
There a Scavenging
There
Ooze?
is a Scavenging Ooze in Richard Winter's hand.
Oh boy. Yikes.
So that Ooze...
Well, I'm almost at the point where I feel like Alex is going to have to consider doing the Pernicious Deed to blow up the world.
I would have considered playing Deed last turn. That is an enchantment. He can get into the yard, but the Battle Skull will still hang around unless Alex gets to 5 mana, which seems unlikely with Wasteland. The Battle Skull can also just jump back into Richard's hand for 3 mana. So Alex draws. Richard actually tapped his Wasteland, so he doesn't have the option of using that to constrain Alex's mana.
I would like to actually be restraining the mana. I mean, even though the Ooze is there...
Alex has Jace here as well.
Yeah, that's going to be problematic.
I think that if I were Richard, I probably would have been much more inclined to use my Wasteland to keep Alex off of both colored mana and just mana count. If he kills that Underground Sea, Alex is in a pretty rough spot, though he does have a fetch here. So if we see Jace come down here and bounce the Ooze token, or the not Ooze token, the Germ token, then Alex is in a lot better position than he was just last turn.
I actually don't even mind if he does something like simply bounce, not the token, but just the Ooze itself. Because he's got the ability to hide behind the Snapcaster so that he can untap then with Jason play.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So if he plays Jace, if he bounces If he bounces the ooze, then he's going to have to chump.
Actually, you're right. The germ is better because
Either
of the amount of time
either
it
way,
takes.
he's going to have to chump.
Yeah.
Because that ooze is going to become potentially a 3/3 by removing Knight of the Reliquary.
And there goes the germ.
So yeah, I definitely think Richard needed to use his Wasteland before this point. Letting Alex get to Jace mana is, I think, a mistake. So ooze goes to 3/3, eating Knight of the Reliquary, which also shrinks Tarmogoyf. So Richard's definitely substantially ahead in the size of creatures battle, which is a battle I like to be ahead in. So Richard, contemplating what to do, didn't see his draw. His Stoneforge, it looks like he drew Hierarch. And what's his last card? Is it 2 Hierarchs?
Definitely one. There's the second
It's a
one.
Hierarch. So, and we know Alex has Deed in his hand.
Now imagine just, wow, I mean...
It's just getting chump blocked.
Yeah, there's the chump.
Is he just going to... Okay, so if Alex draws a land, if Alex can brainstorm into a land, he's going to be able to Pernicious Deed and wipe everything but Batterskull from play.
And I don't mind Jace fighting against an empty Batterskull.
Jace is... It's also important to note that Pernicious Deed was printed prior to the existence of Planeswalkers. It does not say non-land permanent. It says creature, artifact, enchantment, and... is that it? Creature, artifact, enchantment?
Yeah.
That's it.
It does not hit lands.
So, Richard goes to get it. Well, thanks.
Just helping you out.
I appreciate that. It's been a long day, so sometimes you miss these things. It's like, wow, why didn't he deed away his wasteland? I don't understand. So Alex, Richard gets a Jitte. Alex draws. It looks to be a wasteland in his hand. Is he fate sealing? I believe he is fate sealing. I think that's totally fine at this point.
That's okay.
I probably wouldn't do that.
I would probably brainstorm just because you already have the ability to clear off. There's no hasty attacker's going to get you.
Right. I mean, it's not like you're going to get your Jace. I mean, maybe he knows that there's no Vindicate or Oblivion Ring or anything. I guess he could be afraid of, a Knight of the Reliquary. He just wants to try and avoid next turn something bad happening.
Deed.
Go and boom. We're gonna do the deed.
All I want to
the
do
dirty,
is go
dirty
boom,
deed.
Boom, and a...
Boom.
I don't wait here.
No, you don't at all. You definitely.
That helps you strand that Batterskull if you just do it now.
Yeah, you don't want to let Batterskull return.
Zot.
Boom.
1-2 cards go away, and how many cards go in?
Look at how this game has shifted. It looked like Richard Winter was so far ahead, and he chose not to use Wasteland when Alex Gonzalez only had 2 sources of mana. And if he had Wastelanded that Underground Sea, Jace would never have entered play. Pernicious Deed never would have been able to wipe his board. He would be so far ahead right now. So Richard Winter draws.
What did he try to do? He tried to continue to accelerate his game.
He wanted to try and establish a much more impressive board position, which I think in some matchups is definitely the correct play. I think in some matchups that's what you want to do. But you're playing against a deck that has Jace the Mind Sculptor, has Pernicious Deed, has 3 Jaces and 4 Deeds. I think that you really need to be conservative with your permanent deployment in those matchups and try to keep your opponent off of their powerful spells.
I think a lot of people are just not used to playing against Pernicious Deed.
It is definitely a card that is pretty old school.
Yeah.
It was often seen alongside Spirit Monger.
Yes.
Those times are long past. Spirit Monger, once one of the most fearsome creatures in Magic, is now merely a memory.
It's true. Look at your deck. He must really like his hand. I don't mind brainstorming.
Yeah, I think right now. Oh well, we are wastelanding Richard into oblivion. It looks like. And Richard is contemplating. He may just be trying to Jace him right out. He could just win this game by just ultimating Jace. His opponent's playing a green-white creature deck. His opponent has nothing that can directly interact with Jace that isn't a creature. 0.
That's true.
I mean,
and nothing in the sideboard. There's just nothing.
There's absolutely nothing can make Jace leave play that isn't an attacking creature.
What happened to all of the lands?
So now, did Richard wasteland now? I guess he did. So
Gonzalez
got a Jite. That's cool.
That's cool. And Jace
you.
dials up.
So Richard with a pair of plows in hand. Really not what he needs. Alex leaving cards on top. That is not what he wants to see. Wasteland takes out his Savannah, leaving him with a single forest and a pair of equipment. Neither the Reliquary, not going to see it play anytime soon. If ever.
What you got?
As this game is likely going to end before Richard actually finds 3 mana.
Go. There's a draw. A Mother of Runes cannot be cast.
You don't do anything.
Go. He draws another land.
And
dials it up.
Jace is just his win condition here.
Onto 2 dies.
Stay there.
Go. Swords.
Plow number 3.
Zoom.
And there it is.
Richard Winter down.
Concedes that game. Alex Gonzalez wins the match 2-1, advancing to the semifinals.
Go Gonzalez. There we go.
That is how we had predicted this match.